right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is where we talk sports 7 nights a week at 412-575-2600. Let me hear from you tonight. We had a couple of hours after the game today, got a lot of calls, a lot of criticism of the Steelers, and rightfully so. They had an opportunity to beat a team in Chicago, which was heavily depleted by injury, and they could not take advantage of it. So they lose the game and drop to 6 wins, 5 losses. And that means they are tied with the Ravens, who also won today. They beat the Jets, so now those two teams are 6-5. And you look at the schedule coming up, the schedule is this. The Steelers have the Buffalo Bills next Sunday afternoon, 4:25. You'll see it on KDKA-TV. We'll follow with 2 hours of postgame right here on KDKA+. The Bills are 7-4, but they coming off a bad loss for them. They went to Houston and allowed Josh Allen to get really hit and hit again. They had 15 different quarterback hits on him, 8 sacks in that game, did Houston. And so they won on the road, or at home, I should say. Buffalo loses to get to 7-4. So this is all tied up with tiebreakers, man. They got 6 teams right now. They're either 7-4, 6-5, or 5-6. And it's going to go down to the end, and tiebreakers matter, which is why this game against Buffalo is very important. After that, it's a game at Baltimore. As I said, the Ravens, they played the Jets and won today. They got the Bengals on Thanksgiving night at home, and then they have the Steelers. So 3 straight home games for them. We can see a pretty big change in the standings over the next couple of weeks, which is why it's imperative for the Steelers to win this game against the Bills coming up. Want to hear from you on that. I also talked about Pitt football, which was outstanding last night and coming up with big plays at big times. They beat Georgia Tech, a team that all they had to do was win at home. They would have gotten into the ACC championship game. They lose, so that opens up the door for not only Pitt, but possibly Miami and SMU and Virginia. Simple for Pitt. If they win, and they got to win, noon Saturday against Miami, then they need one of 2 teams to lose. SMU will play Cal. They need to lose that game. Or Virginia needs to lose against Virginia Tech. Both unlikely. Now, if Miami should beat Pitt and one of those other 2 teams lose, or both, I should say, lose, then Miami gets an opportunity at this game as well. So they're not out of it yet. They're the highest-ranked team in the ACC. We got that to talk about. Once again, congratulations to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds on winning a USL championship. A lot of attention on their game yesterday against FC Tulsa. They win it in penalty kicks, 5-3, and win a championship for the first time since Tuffy Schallenberger, their owner, has owned this team 15 years ago. The franchise has been in existence for 26 years, so job well done for them. All right, get your calls in. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. We'll take those next when we continue right here live. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, 7 nights a week on KDKA+. All right, this is our Xfinity tweet of the night, and it's Shadur Sanders, starting quarterback, number 45, believe it or not, since 1994 for the Browns. But he got a win today in his first ever game as a starter for Cleveland. They beat the hapless Vegas Raiders, and boy, what's happened to that franchise? Geno Smith has been awful. He got a big contract. Pete Carroll's coming back, probably regrets that he did. And they're one of the worst teams in the NFL, and in fact, both those teams are. But in that game, Myles Garrett, once again, was very active. 3 of their 8 sacks on Geno Smith went to Myles Garrett. He now has 18 for the season. He is, right now, the person to beat when it comes to Defensive Player of the Year. He could break T.J. Watt's record, along with Michael Strahan, as this season goes on. And that's saying something for a team that hasn't won a lot of football games, but he has been outstanding for them this year. As far as Matthew Stafford, he looks to me the MVP of the league. The way he's playing, he's just been outstanding. And if you remember back to the summertime, there were some doubts whether or not he would even play. And then Jackson Smith-Njigba, he was outstanding again today. He's going to maybe get close to 2,000 yards. And what about George Pickens? 9 targets, 9 touchdowns, 146 yards, and a big touchdown and a comeback win for the Cowboys over the Eagles at 28-21. George Pickens, I continue to say, I would have preferred him staying here, but they had to change the game plan for that to happen. This game plan, this strategy on offense is dinking and dunking and ignoring the middle of the field. And today you saw the Bears attack that part. And the Steelers had 6 guys on the Bears that weren't playing starters on defense. I would have been in such attack mode today. Instead, they were just trying to kind of just dink and dunk their way down the field. You got to do better than that, especially with some of the guys. Their receivers right now, Pickens, I believe, has more yardage than all of their receivers on the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can't have that happen when you guys like DK Metcalf here. They brought him here for big plays. We haven't seen many of those. All right, so let's get back to the phone lines at 412-575-2600, beginning with Rich in Pleasant Unity. What's up, Rich?
Hi, Bob. First-time caller, long-time
Appreciate
listener.
it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Why can't the Steelers adjust on defense to cover the middle of the field? I just don't get it.
Well, they've also a lot of soft zones. I mean, there was Dan Orlovsky put one up, and we saw it again. If you're going to allow, for example, on 3rd and 5, guys to get off the line of scrimmage and you're 5 yards behind, the only chance you have of messing up a rhythm, especially with a guy like Caleb Williams, who, you know, he was what he was, which is he can be on target, he can really make good throws, but he also is not very good on completion percentage numbers. He throws a lot of erratic passes. You got to make it more difficult on him, I thought. Soft zones, I mean, all they do is delay the inevitable, and I think we saw that again. The Steelers' defense, by the way, has given up 5 games this year of over 30 points. That's tied for the most of the Mike Tomlin era. That's a lot of points to give up, especially when this offense has been struggling to score more points along the way. Let's go out to Kirk and Manor. Kirk, go ahead. You're on the air.
How you doing, Bob? Hey, I just wanted to ask you, do you not find it unusual when they run for 124 yards, correct me if I'm wrong, in the first half, why they don't continue to do that? Let me know what you think.
The Steelers had a run game going, and if you're talking about the Bears, I'm not sure who you were talking about now, because the Bears did not get 100 yards in the game. They had 99. The Steelers had 186 on the day, and yeah, they went away from that in the second half. So, listen, the bottom line is, when I look at these numbers, the one thing that sticks out for me with regard to running backs is that Kenneth Gainwell is almost the leading receiver on this team. Now, that hasn't happened in the Pittsburgh Steelers since John L. Williams was a fullback for this team. I think the year was 1994, and he led them in passing, mostly because they didn't have many other answers there. But you can have one of your running backs, who's not even your starter, be your leading receiver potentially, and he is one off that lead. So, again, those wide receivers have got to get more involved. They total 10 catches today. That's it among the whole group. Roman Wilson only targeted twice down the field, 0 receptions on that one. Calvin Austin had a few plays, but again, Metcalf, only 3 catches, I believe, on the day, and the tight ends are vastly being ignored, at least to the point where they're involved in the passing offense. They need to be more down the field and in the middle of the field. At least that's the way I see it. All right, Bill in Shippensville. What's up, Bill? How are you?
Yes, the Steelers are quickly becoming the Cleveland Browns as long as Tomlin has this stale situation that he puts on the field. Thank you.
Thank you. We heard a lot of that after the game today, and I suspect will until the Steelers win a game, and they got the Bills coming up. They've been good this year in going up against big names. They beat New England, one of their 2 losses. They beat the Colts, one of their 3 losses, but against some of these other teams, it just hasn't been. I'm going to look back at that Thursday night game in Cincinnati, one that really went totally off the rails and quite frankly should not have. They knew going into that game that Joe Flacco was new to them. They also knew they were going to target their wide receivers quite a bit, and yet they still got 23 targets on Jamar Chase, and Higgins was involved as well. Now, second time around, they shut those 2 guys down last week. But it's been very erratic defensively, too, with the way they've covered some guys and allowed other guys to have big moments against them. But it's a strange league. It's a strange team right now. The Steelers are out of the playoffs, and quite frankly, they've dug this hole now. They got to figure out ways to get out of it with Buffalo and Baltimore coming up next. Let's go to the bottom of the board. We got, I believe it says, is it Ned or Red in the south side? What's up, Red? How are you?
It's Brad on the south side, man. What's going on with you?
I can't. My eyes are bad. I can't see this far across to see the board, but thank you for correcting me. Go ahead.
It's all good. I'm just wondering, man. I'm confused. You don't think that Boswell could have kicked that field goal on the last play of the game?
Well, I'm sure he would have tried. I don't know exactly the yardage. What I do think, though, they had a play earlier in the game, and it was in Boswell territory for sure, but it was that's when they tried making something happen on the tush push, and they couldn't get it done. As a result, they turned the ball over, and then Chicago goes the other way. That's a 10-point swing potentially. So I thought maybe at that point they should have done it. Again, if you got a weapon like that, I would use him on those kinds of situations. However, there are a lot of people who believe on 4th and short, you should always go for it. So the metrics tell you one thing, your gut tells you another. Later in the game, the Steelers on what was it, 2 minutes and 1 second left, they had an opportunity to go for it on 4th down. They're in their own territory, but they elected to kick the ball away. They had 3 timeouts, and they knew that they were going to probably burn them on that next Chicago possession, but they also were correct in thinking they'd get the ball back. And again, needing a field goal, you would have thought they'd be able to move it a little bit more efficiently, but they could not make it down into that range. Although that kick, I don't know how long it would have been, but it's probably going to be close to 70 yards. Can he hit it? Sure. I mean, he's got the leg to do it. But I think they wanted to get one more chance to get extra yardage there, and they failed to do it. You see our KDK.com/connect poll of the night, brought to you by Penn West University. Would the Steelers have won if Aaron Rodgers had played? My answer to that would be no. I don't think it would have mattered today. They need a lot more scheming going on their offense to make a difference here. They've got to scheme guys open. So far, we have not seen that. And again, if you look at the pass chart for Mason Rudolph, you can check it out on Next Gen Stats. You'll see the middle of the field was hardly targeted at all. A lot of dinking and dunking. You know, the Steelers on Mason Rudolph's plays today, 23 of 24 on throws that were 10 yards or less. When he goes up, and normally Mason Rudolph's a very good deep ball. And I thought the first play of the game was there. It's just the defender made a very nice play on it. But beyond 10 yards, he was just 1 of 6 with 1 interception, and that was in on the first throw of the day. Let's go out to Joe in Mount Lebanon, who joins us right now here on the Sports Call. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Bob. I've seen more imaginative offenses in 6th grade football. I don't know.
Give me a suggestion. What do you think they should do more of then?
Bob, did you see the passing chart? There was no passing.
I just said that. I just said that, yes. So I'm asking you, how would you change that?
Well, you can't change it because you have these offensive coordinators, and Tomlin, when you play not to win the game, you end up losing.
I agree with that largely. Yeah, I do. I think they have to figure out a way and devise a plan that has deeper routes, and whether that's crossing, guys in the middle of the field, yak yards, however you want to do it, but you have to attack that part of it. And again, I think it was more disappointing today that they didn't do it, considering Chicago Bears were missing 6 starters to start with, and then some of their backups were left in this game because of injury. They could have really done more damage there. They did it in the run game, but then they stopped running in the second half. Instead, went to short passing instead. They just left a lot on the table against a team I think that was very vulnerable in this game, and they let them off the hook. Let's go out to Frank in Franklin Park, and I wonder about this one. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Bob. How you doing? I just want to bring up the concern and incompetencies of Arthur Smith as an NFL offensive coordinator. I think he really looks better than he really is because of Henry and Tannenball's success with the Titans. But if you look around the league and you compare him against the good and great offensive coordinators, there's just no comparison.
Well, again, they knew what kind of offense he likes to run, and it probably was very much complementary to what they like anyway, which is run first. And there's nothing wrong with running first. You can run. All the successful teams in the NFL run the ball successfully when need be, but they also can do a lot of other things from those formations. And it just looks like it's so tight end centric that you're not even getting the tight ends involved, other than today, Jonnu Smith, for example. He had a couple of jet sweeps. What else did he do? He had 88 catches last year in Miami. Why can't the Steelers, find the way he got open down there and use it to their advantage here? There are a lot of things to work on, and they better get it done fast because they have 2 very big games coming up. We'll take a break. Come back with more at 412-575-2600 right here on KDKA+. All right, welcome back. We continue until 11 o'clock. Be sure to join us, 11:35 on KDKA, as we have the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown with my panel of Jason Mackey, Mike DeCourcy, and Will Graves. Right now we're going out to Tom, who's in Greensburg, and now he's on the air. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
Good. What's up?
I'm calling about why are the Steelers paying a wide receiver $30 million to be a blocker out there?
Yeah, well, I mean, they have to unleash that part of his game. They have to figure out a way to scheme and do more with it. You know, you have talented guys who go down the field, and Mason Rudolph, it's a good part of his game, but they hardly ever did it today, and when they did, it was very well covered. So they got to figure something out. That's what they do. That's what they're paid to do, and they have to have answers this week as the Buffalo Bills come to town, a team which also has its own problems. They let their quarterback get hit an awful lot, 15 times I think it was. He got sacked 8 times in that Houston Texans game, and they've been really red hot now. They're one of those teams that's 6-5. Kansas City, don't forget about them. They won again today, and they had to come back to do it against Indy, which played well on the road. So they're 6-5 as well. Jacksonville won in overtime at Arizona, so they're 7-4. These games coming up are immensely important considering there are so many tiebreakers that you need to have. And right now, the reason the Steelers are second behind the Ravens is because they do not have the division tiebreaker. So those head-to-head games are huge, and they're starting this week. So that game will be on 425. And you'll see it on KDKA with Jim Nance, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson in town. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for calling and joining us. We'll do it again tomorrow night right here at 10:35. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Have a good week.